Well, I've talked about that, there was a time period that Mom and I lived with Aunt Heidi.
Oh,
For a decent amount of years. I couldn't tell you a number for sure, but
2 or 3.
See, to me, that was such a longevity part of my life. Was
you
so
were
much
also
that was going on.
A kid, you know?
So it felt like it was a long time, but and which is not a bad thing. It was just that, like, I remember like a lot of just really good things happening, like. Like for instance, like when Halloween would happen and like, and Aunt Heidi, she sits out on her front porch and she looks like a witch and she has the veil over. Yeah. Like it's all that stuff. Like she'd turn on her big ass stereo system,
crank it to 11
and just blare, like whatever Walmart, like scary CD she found or like whatever. But I remember waking up on Christmas morning and I woke up before everybody. And I came out into the living room and I remember I was like, oh, yeah, there's the gifts, like, OK, the tree's lit. Like, OK, like, I'm not going to just rip things open. I'll wait till, Mom and Heidi are awake. And we opened gifts. We had breakfast. We did our thing. And I remember when I first walked out, I noticed that there was a cone. It looked like it was an index card that had been rolled up. And it was sitting on the coffee table. And I remember looking at it and going, that's weird. But I kind of like, I was like, no, like Christmas is happening. That's probably like, that was probably left there from last night or something. But why is it rolled out? Whatever, doesn't matter. And Aunt Heidi looked at me and she said, Kyle, go over to the tree, pick up that index card. And I read it and I couldn't tell you what it said. But it was a clue and it rhymed.
Okay.
And I remember picking up that one and she's like, okay, where's the next one? And I'm looking all around and I'm like, okay, I'm listening. I'm thinking of the clue. I'm like, okay, like what is it? And it's like something you sit on, something. Okay, wait, hold on. Those couch cushions come up. She's like, they do. Check it out. And I picked it up and there was another index card. And I grabbed it and I read it. And I remember the last line of it saying, wait, what is that in your mother's ear? And I looked over to my left and Mom had the cone and she had placed it just like kind of like in her ear and laid on the couch. And I went over and I grabbed it and it took me to another one. I think one took me to the basement. One took me to Aunt Heidi's bedroom and it was like all over the place. And finally, the final resting place of where I was supposed to be was the garage. And it was the year that I got my green mountain bike.
Okay.
And, it's again, I'm not somebody who bikes. I'm not somebody who does something like that. But I had friends in the area that I would want to go see. And it was kind of like, no, like, all my other friends like had bikes and stuff. And let's just be clear. Mom was restarting her life.
Yeah.
And
she worked at Taco Bell.
Yeah. And she just was trying her best to.
Yeah. She was the manager.
Just handle everything that was, that either that was happening or that was thrown at her or like the situations that surrounded her, all that stuff. And like, I remember years later, Mom telling me that she's like, I felt like I was just failing every single day because everything is so different and and it's like because of that was after her and Dad had split and like there's reasons why I moved in and everything, but it just it was this insane thing where I think it was soon after I looked at Mom and I'm like, Mom, how did you do this? And
Aunt Heidi probably helped,
and she even said, she's like, no, Aunt Heidi got it for you.
Okay.
She wanted to be sure that you had a big gift and she knew that this is something that you would definitely use and you need right now. And dude, there was just like it. I'm just going to say it right now, man, like Aunt Heidi and Mom, they're really the best team that I could have lived with and I could have been around. And
sure.
Just because it's like, dude, like they understood what it meant. And Aunt Heidi where she's like, nope, we're doing this. This is how it's happening. And like, and I don't know, like it was something that really allowed me to be a kid at a time when I did not have that wiggle room whatsoever. Because that's, those were very dark years of my life of the things that happened and everything where it was like, coming off of, my parents are divorced. I don't know why these things are happening, an influence being in my life that was very negative, that, was a part of that situation. And, the people that I was surrounded by, that were also quite negative, which were some of my friends at that point that, it's like I was, made fun of a lot. Like there was no breathing room whatsoever, but it was just like this moment where I remembered, wow, this really can be okay.